Hey everybody! So we've learnt about one type of chromosome disorder when we looked at karyotypes, but there's a few other types of disorders too that can lead to a genetic disease. And this is a whole area of study for medical scientists and for doctors to figure out how genetic diseases are caused. Because not all diseases are caused by pathogens, like bacteria and viruses. A lot of them are caused by malfunctions in your genes. So we can call genetic disorders, they're diseases caused by a malfunction in the genes. And let's call it in the genome. It doesn't have to be in the gene, it could be in the whole chromosome too. Okay, so the two main categories of genetic disorders. The first one is there's actually a disorder to do with the entire chromosome, and the second one is to do with just a single gene itself. So within these chromosome disorders, the first one we've actually looked at already, and that's called aneuploidy. So aneuploidy is where you have an extra chromosome, or you have one less chromosome than you should. So you have an extra chromosome or too few. So back when we looked at the karyotype, we looked at this patient here who had Down syndrome. And remember, they had 3 copies of chromosome 21. So this is an example of aneuploidy here. And this person here, they've got 3 copies of chromosome number 18. So they've got 1 extra than they should, and that causes a different disease again. The other type of chromosome disorder you can have are chromosome rearrangements. And this is where part of a chromosome actually breaks off and it swaps positions with a different chromosome. So part of a chromosome swaps with another. You can see in this example we've got this longer pink chromosome and the shorter orange one. So these aren't a pair, but for some reason those chromosomes break off, and that can happen from damage caused by UV light or some other mutation causing thing in the environment, which is called a mutagen. Chromosomes break off, and then the cell actually has ways of recombining DNA in case it breaks, but there might be a mistake, and so that's how these rearrangements can happen. So by accident, maybe the yellow section gets combined back onto the pink chromosome and vice versa, and suddenly there's a whole other set of genes on the wrong chromosome, and that can lead to lots of problems when the cells try to divide, or when that person tries to reproduce as well. So that's chromosome disorders. Probably the most common one actually though is single gene diseases. So these diseases are caused by a mutation in just one of the bases, or a few bases in only one gene. So caused by a mutation in one base of a gene. So you can see up here, within the chromosome, There's one gene that is the code for one protein, and mutations can happen, which means one base gets swapped for another. There's lots of ways this can happen. But because a gene is the instructions for making a protein, if those instructions have an error, then that protein can become faulty. And that's how these diseases actually form in a person. So it leads to a malfunctioning protein. Okay, so they're the three main types of ways that your genome can go wrong and cause a disease.